power when converted in their home currencies. This discourages foreign direct investment. Residents of the country also afraid of losing purchasing power due to exchange rate depreciation is seen to be weak or engage in terms of the number of zeros attached to its exchange rate. Foreigners become loath to invest in that country out of fear that they may not be able to externalize their profits or that those profits will lose their purchasing power when converted in their home currencies. This discourages foreign direct investment. Residents of the country also afraid of losing purchasing power due to exchange rate depreciation will engage in currency substitution, which we have seen here over and over, people preferring dollars to leones, which then causes the exchange rate depreciation that they feared in the first place. In this regard, redenomination resets the country's currency in order to change the public perception about the country. However, just as in the mobile phone analogy, redenomination does not solve or promise to solve all the country's economic problems. It merely resets the currency, thus providing another starting point for the country. For redenomination to have a lasting positive impact on the economy of a country, economic reforms that address the factors that cause the debasement of the currency in the first place must be implemented. In the absence of such reforms, the currency, the redenominated currency, will become debased again, thereby needing another redenomination. Just as when a cell phone that has been reset will definitely become infected by viruses if its owner continues to visit the same websites. We at the Bank of Sierra Leone, when we decided to do this, we pledged to the people of this country that we will follow the monetary policies necessary to ensure macroeconomic stability. And in spite of what you see today, the inflation that has been raging externally induced, we were able in the first 2 years when we came in to bring inflation down from 18% to single digits. But as a small country, we are price takers on the world market. And therefore, when the world market misbehaves, it hits us more than the larger countries. But we pledge to you that the part of inflation that we can control, what economists call core inflation, we will do everything to control and make sure that we never have to redenominate this currency again. I know when I first announced that we are redenominating, Mr. President, I realized that I created more economists in this country than I did in my 35 years teaching economics. And some of them claim to be seasoned economists to the point that I had to go to the kitchen to look if there is still Maggi and salt, just so that they had not all been used to season them. They told the people of this country that redenomination will rob them, which is nonsense. Yes, when we redenominate, for example, your 1 million old leones will now be equal to 1,000 new leones. However, the prices of all goods and services will also be deflated by 1,000. Hence, if, for example, a person were to purchase 50 liters of petrol at 22,000 per liter now, using the old leones, she will pay 1.1 million old leones. After redenomination, the price of petrol will be 22 new leones per liter. Thus, the same 50 liters of petrol will now cost 1,100 new leones, which is equivalent to the 1.1 old leones. Therefore, in terms of purchasing power, the new leone will have the same value as the old leone. Hence, the slogan that we have used, new money, same value, and which we will continue to use in our sensitization. The deputy talked about the sensitization that we have undertaken, and therefore we are not going to get into that anymore, but to redenominate the currency. I am not going to spend much time on the impact of redenomination. We've been saying that quite a bit. But I will close by just saying that for redenomination to maximize its positive effects, there has to be certain preconditions that we must meet. Firstly, fiscal discipline must be maintained in order to engender price and exchange rate stability. Moreover, economic agents must perceive the central bank as a credible institution that is committed to macroeconomic stability. Many people say that I'm stubborn, I'm just a central banker. The Bank of Sierra Leone is committed to ensuring that these conditions are fulfilled, Mr. President. In addition to the importance of macroeconomic stability and central bank integrity in the maximization of the gains from redenomination, a Nobel Prize economist, Douglas North, who spent a lot of time doing the history of economic history, found out that institutions matter. He actually said that institutions, constitutions, statutes, property rights, informal restraints such as customs, traditions, codes of conduct, taboo, and social sanctions all help maintain order and safety in an economy, all push toward economic growth and sustainability, thereby having us not ever having to come back to redenomination. On the other hand, policies that promote fraud, theft, corruption, weak contract enforcement, weak property rights protection, and other socially detrimental behaviors raise transaction costs, thereby posing huge barriers to economic progress. Therefore, promoting the former type of institutions and controlling the latter should be the central function of growth-enhancing economic and political institutions. When this precondition is met, entrepreneurs will have the confidence to invest in new products and technologies, thereby leading to economic growth and improved living standards. Another economist, Professor Lisa Cook, found evidence that when institutions, social and economic institutions, who protect citizens from the threat of violence, thus creating a climate of personal security created in the country, they will have a greater impact on long-run economic growth than previously thought. On the contrary, personal insecurity tends to depress technical progress, which ultimately retards economic growth and price stability. Our 11-year civil war should be a lesson to us that regardless of what we do with redenomination, certain institutional restraints have to be which ultimately retards economic growth and price stability. Our 11-year civil war should be a lesson to us that regardless of what we do with redenomination, certain institutional restraints have to be brought in order to help us maximize the benefits of redenomination. Finally, I cannot end without saying this. We cannot get the benefits from redenomination if we don't engage in productive work. Currently, the Yubobode begging that we see is not going to help us move this country forward. We need to radically restructure our economy to prioritize production over mindless consumption and to make sure that we protect ourselves against economic shocks. Let me end, ladies and gentlemen, by thanking everybody who has helped us do what we need to do to move this country forward. People who have helped us with this redenomination and making this day forward. We want to sincerely thank everybody, particularly the President, for giving the leadership of the Bank of Sierra Leone the autonomy that other African central bank governors merely wish for. Lastly but not the least, I want to thank the management and staff of the Bank of Sierra Leone for their hard work in making this day possible. I also want to thank previous governors, management, and staff that have served this bank in the past, whose services made our job easier. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, for your kind attention and my hopeful conviction that my remarks to you this afternoon will spur Sierra Leoneans to champion the development and sustenance of growth-enhancing social and political institutions, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Madam First Lady, the Honorable Chief Justice, and other justices present here today, ministers of government, members of parliament present, board of governors, Bank of Sierra Leone, the bank governor, deputy bank governors, chief executive officers, and managing directors of commercial banks and other financial institutions present here today, members of the diplomatic and consular corps, revered paramount chiefs, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I will start by saying ceteris paribus, just in case I stray into economics. So let me start by commending the bank governor, the deputy governor, staff of the Bank of Sierra Leone, the Ministry of Finance officials, our commercial banks, numerous stakeholders who have all worked with great diligence to deliver this project. This is a huge project, taking into consideration the circumstances. To our friends in the private sector, I acknowledge that it takes quite a bit to be leading innovation ready. And as we've heard about the governor, I think you are all ready. But investments now will make a lot of financial sense in a few months and years as you save on operational and technical costs associated with using smaller volumes of note. So it's better we do it now than delay it. Our compatriots in the informal economy may have to struggle with transactions using the new notes. I encourage the bank to intensify its sensitization campaigns in the transition period and even beyond. Reach out to the ordinary citizen in the markets, places of worship, their communities, in the rural areas, in their rural towns and villages. I see the chief started clapping. Is that a message? Have they not called? Oh, they have called. They have. Thank you. Citizens not being informed fully about the new currency. It is only fair that citizens receive the correct exchange and transaction values for the old notes as we use them alongside the new loans. This is also civic duty on all of us to help our fellow citizens to get it right from the outset. We also have a real opportunity to zero in on more innovation in the banking sector, ladies and gentlemen. I'm informed that the national switch that supports digital financial services and transactions will soon be unveiled after a very long time waiting. The reintroduction of coins with real purchasing value will reduce the pressure on notes. We don't even know how to use coins anymore. We're going to have to learn in Sierra Leone. But we should institute new technologies to minimize volumes of cash transactions. Our citizens are already familiar with mobile cash systems. We can't be on that. For what they are familiar with to introduce other cashless payment systems with which they can be comfortable and can use with greater ease across the economy. Clearly, all politicians and self-righteous pundits will soon flood social media, radio, and TV programs with all manner of negative noise about the rules and the intention behind it. That is for sure. They will compare conspiracy theories, doom and gloom stories, and some downright amusing explanations that make no sense. So we dive into their wildest imaginations and drag in explanations that will make the dead wake up in shock. Some will call it a political stunt. Some will say it is a feel-good move that we simply want to take some zeros off and people will think an economy gone bad feels better. But we are a serious government. Whatever we do is intentional and purposeful. While in the spirit of good governance, Sierra Leone enjoys press freedom and freedom of expression more than any other time before. As I speak, no journalist is in prison for the sake of practicing journalism. People, especially the opposition politicians, are free to express their very wrong opinions as long as they do so within the confines of the law and do not incite or disrupt our national peace and stability. Most Leoneans know that Sierra Leone does not exist in isolation, but some decide to ignore that all the time. We are part of the global economy. Sierra Leone, like Africa, like all African nations, the UK, the US, Asian countries, are dealing with the very adverse economic effect of COVID-19 pandemic, complicated by recent global crisis in the Ukraine. We are dealing with everything from rising interest rates, inflation, currency depreciation, fuel scarcity, and increased food prices. These are difficult times. We must accept them, and we are doing our best to mitigate the effects on our people. There are queues for fear in all African countries, as there are being queues for fear in Asia, the Americas, US, UK, and other countries around the world. The Minister of Finance has just announced that we are providing foreign exchange to oil marketing companies and other private sector to bring in sufficient stock of fuel and food items on the market. That is what we have been doing for the past 2 years since the pandemic struck. As a government, we can only go so far as to support the private sector to bring these commodities on the market. We expect they will do their part by making these freely available on the market and not create artificial scarcities and extort huge profits. Civic responsibility. Private sector players that create artificial scarcities in order to force prices up and make life more difficult for ordinary Leoneans should ask themselves whether they feel good making life harder for their fellow compatriots. crisis make life tougher for other Leoneans, especially our poorer and more vulnerable compatriots. So why do it? As I've always admonished, we should be better and we should do better. Let me, however, thank our development partners for helping us provide social safety nets referred to earlier to thousands of poor and vulnerable Redenomination at this difficult time. They have kept their faith with us even through hard times. Thank you, our development partners. As the Finance Minister has indicated, our macroeconomic fundamentals are strong. Our fiscal management highly disciplined, and our economic policies are nimble, agile, and responsive to these global headwinds. The IMF has acknowledged this fact in its recent review, and they have approved budgetary support to soften the impact of the current global crisis, as alluded to by the Minister of Finance. Our development partners and friends have continued to believe in our competent management of the economy, and they are therefore still with us. Thank you again. Private investment dollars in infrastructure, small-scale manufacturing, value-added production, agriculture, renewable energy, and mining have continued to come to Sierra Leone. On a recent visit to Qatar, there was a huge expression of interest in agriculture and mining sector. They are attracted to our huge natural resources, but they are even happier about the investment ecosystem we have continued to open up and improve on. We continue to make our peaceful, stable, and resource-rich country a prime destination for investment. There is cause for optimism, ladies and gentlemen, once we ride this economic turbulence that's entirely outside our control and not of our making. So, how many more new things can we say about this new money beyond what the technical people, the bank governor, and the historians have already said? I still say many more things. The technical experts have made a strong case. There will be simplification of accounting records and significant reduction in cash volumes needed for transactions. The inconveniences and inefficiencies of using old notes will be a thing of the past. We have removed the 3 zeros, but the money yesterday is the same money, is the same value as the money yesterday, or today, sorry. The money yesterday is the same value as the money today. Detractors will attempt to spread falsehoods about the value of the new notes. Champions of the new notes will buy you the same goods and services that 5,000 of the old notes yesterday bought for you. As the Bank of Sierra Leone people have said, it is new money, same value. New notes, same value. The value of your pension, your debt, your rent, and your salary remain the same. Our task at hand in the coming years is to sustain our currency value and reputation. My government's focus is on continuing to manage the economy responsibly and increase the value of the new currency. As a government, we continue to implement the right policies on overall economic management and government spending. I'm sure the bank will do its part to ensure financial stability in accordance with its mandate. In foreign direct investments As I've indicated earlier, an increased domestic productivity will have the required impact of expanding and growing the economy, and that is what we aspire to. We need to expand the productive sectors of our economy. The more we produce, the more we can export. The higher our GDP, the better the value of our money in currency. Talking about economic productivity, let me briefly engage our banking sector, since this event looks like a murky gathering of who is who in the banking sector in Sierra Leone. I can see all of them here. To my mind, economic growth, especially the growth of the private sector in Sierra Leone, has been constrained because of huge sections of our population have not had or do not have access to credit. That is the truth. Ceteris paribus. These include women, young and old, who we know can transform small amounts into big profits. Young entrepreneurs with exciting ideas who can both tackle global issues in innovative ways and make money. Citizens in rural areas where we can create new growth nodes and economic opportunity. And our medium, small, and macro enterprises. Please remove the barriers and make credit available to them. This is central to our national financial inclusion strategy. Let us use the power of innovation and technology to give more citizens access to banks and financial services and lower interest credit that only banks can offer. To the private sector in the room, my government has created a national investment board. We are excited about the prospects of working with the private sector to ease the business ecosystem, to create more opportunity for businesses, and to create more jobs for Sierra Leoneans. To my fellow citizens, this is your money. It is the legal tender. It is meant for use by all Sierra Leoneans. It is a visible symbol of our nation. This is the legal tender. It is made for use by all Sierra Leoneans. Let us demonstrate a distinguished and heightened sense of responsibility and patriotism in handling our new currency. For the next 90 days, it will be used alongside the old Leone at the same value. Even after then, for 45 days, as already been said, people can still exchange the old Leones for the new Leones at the Bank of Sierra Leone at the same value. I'm honored, ladies and gentlemen, therefore, at this time, to officially launch the new Leoneans currency and legal tender in Sierra Leone.
don't talk to them, but then the assurance for them, they say, this one they come for stay and then for believer.
Of course, we're not going to take such a huge project if we not get good reason. So what we don't do now really for better the economy, for make sure so there's stability and for make sure so there's ease of doing business. Instead of carrying huge volumes of money, we don't get better notes, smaller notes, and we don't remove the, for make it more effective actually. That's not the main thing we everybody needs for now.
So what's assurance you have to give the general public?
Well, I'm not an economist. We don't hear which is the bank governor and every other team. We don't work on this for the past 2 years. So I go just one for say, we're not going to undertake this lightly. Now, with every good intention for Salone, Mama Salone, we undertake this huge project.
Thank you very much, His Excellency.
You're welcome.
Money, as I don't tell you, the 1 million, Dandy, 1 million.
Say again? I can't hear.
All denominations, all.
Bits of all
You want hold it?
No, Nigeria they hold am.
The power hold the money there. Yes, sir, that's 1,000 I'm saying.
So this is 1,000 in different denominations. That's paid for that was 1 million or so. Yes. This is 1,000 bills, which has been exchanged for the 10 million.
Show the money. Sorry.
Go outside, sir. Don't get symbolic.
But we obviously the suit. So board members, so
All right, His Excellency